Hey everyone, my name is Johnny Lawrence and I want to introduce you to something a little bit different.
Yeah.
I want to introduce you to the Strength Shed Sessions.
Hey.
Hi, my name is Johnny Lawrence and welcome to another episode of the Strength Shed Sessions. That is going to catch me out one day. This is a Strength Shed, a place where you can become strong in body and in mind. Today, I'm very excited because I have a very good friend with me and I am very much looking forward to this conversation. This is a person that, there are people in this world that endeavour to own their own businesses, be their own boss, maybe be the boss, but they become the boss, but they never become the leader. This person is a true leader, Helen Tite. I know, sweet, isn't it?
Thank you, honey.
Rehearsed that?
Yeah, you did.
Get you crying early doors.
I'm emotional, I have to say.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know what's coming, so I'm like,
Oh, you did? Do
well,
you?
No. I don't. But
Yeah.
I trust you,
Yeah.
so whatever
trust
happens,
each other.
we're just going to roll with it, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, first and foremost, I'm sure that everybody knows who you are, but tell them anyway and tell them to do it by yourself.
Ooh, Helen Tite. I'm 49 and fabulous. But I wasn't always fabulous. I've had a bit of a tough life, all my life. But I'm happily married. I have Tony and I got two amazing girls, dog and two cats. But my DNA, if you cut me, I bleed wanting to make a difference. And that kind of comes out in different things. So dyslexic entrepreneur, so get things right, get things wrong, learn from it, move on. So I am Mrs. Resilient, I suppose, these days.
It's the first time I'm going to catch you out. You're not the first person here that's been dyslexic. I'm dyslexic. Someone else the other day was dyslexic. Spell it. Sorry, I couldn't spell it either.
Dyslexic.
Truth be told, I don't know if that's right, so it doesn't matter.
Hilarious.
Right, first question.
Okay.
Easy one.
Okay.
Where did you grow up and what was it like?
Born in Cardiff and moved to Barry. So born in Cardiff, mum, Catholic family, single mum, so not a good time. So mum kind of got kicked out of her own family because divorce was a terrible thing. So we moved to Barry, met my stepdad, and my stepdad stayed married to my mum until he died last year.
Yeah.
And was raised in Barry. No one knew what Barry was until Gavin and Stacey.
I was going to say, I love it.
Yeah, so there's me and I'm definitely Ness.
Yeah.
And my best friend Debbie growing up, she's Stacey.
I literally love it when you go to, so we do some training together, so don't we? And when you go back to Wales, Barry, when you come back, it's amazing. It's like an episode of Gavin and Stacey.
It's so true. It's so true.
And your swearing goes
the swearing goes up.
Yeah.
And also, if I'm intense, so I noticed that
it's intense in here, right?
the Welsh comes out of me. So
and the
it's
swearing. I love it.
Yeah.
Anything more to add?
I grew up in Barry. Was bullied. My dad was a policeman.
Really?
So if I heard the bacon, I can smell bacon reference once, I heard it a million times. And a bit of I'm not going to say tough time, but it was always, and dyslexia wasn't a thing then. Yeah. So I was always told could do better.
Yeah.
And then once that's in your, that every single
becomes
report.
a limiting belief, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, but not anymore.
Nope.
So I know it's now a gift, but growing up was hard. So I was pushed down the creative routes. Growing up where I came from, if you wanted to go into sport and fitness, you're a lesbian. That's how it worked, going to an all-girls school.
That's an enormous jump to make.
No, but that's kind of like, so I was like, I really like sport, sort of fitness for the first time when I was 15, took my first aerobics class. And it was because my PE teacher had said, Helen McTavish, if you could do better.
Helen McTavish?
Yeah, McTavish.
Oh.
I know, even more confusing, Scottish McTavish, living in Wales.
Yeah, I didn't see that comment. I was sitting there trying to work that out. I was like...
Yeah, it's true. That's another story. So and then I left. Couldn't wait to leave Barry. Couldn't wait.
Yeah.
I just knew the world was just needed exploring. So I moved to Falmouth, and I was a bar wench. I was studying art. Bar wench, yeah. Studied art. I studied graphic information design. Before media, so before computers, so we'd have to hand render typography in those days. That sounds terrible. And then Apple Macs arrived in sort of my fourth year.
Changed the world.
So yeah, absolutely. So that's where I first went, and then I met my husband. So in my last year of uni,
Top guy, Tony.
Tony Tite.
Literally, you can't say his name without saying his surname.
Yeah, no, I know. I got him Tony Tite. He was in the Navy a long time, and he left the Navy. He works in defence now, and life's good now.
Yeah.
But I knew really early on, I've always been a grafter, so I've always worked, whether it's selling fruit and veg in the van that came round Barry, or dressing up in some kind of weird furry costume for a TV shop. Odd. I sold candy floss.
We'll maybe talk about that when this
I don't know, weird jobs. I've always had like weird jobs. And then I worked in a bakery, and then a lingerie, hosiery, department store, and one thing or another, but I've always worked. But very quickly I learned that I'm not really employable. It's just because
I kind of get that.
That's that crazy madness where I don't fit in boxes.
I'd imagine you're that person that when you work for someone, you're kind of like, you could do this way a bit better,
Yeah. Well, it's not even better. It's like doing things differently. So
thinking differently.
And so when I discovered agile and agile working, I'm like, oh my God, my world changed, because it's like, it's great to be crazy and not believe in boxes, think differently. I love that. That really suits me. So and now, as a result, I do get a lot of work because I am this out-of-the-box thinker.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you inspire a lot of people, that's for sure. But I mean, my next question, are you sort of, you all grown up now, is it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm all grown up, yeah.
My next question is, what drew you to the fitness industry? Because I've never known anyone in my life to work in the fitness industry is one thing, but the jobs that you've done in it is like, I didn't even know that was a thing, It's just like, what? And the places you've done it as well.
Yeah.
You've done it quite a few places.
Yeah. What drew me? Well, like I just touched upon, I taught my first aerobics class at 15, but didn't actually do anything with it.
Right.
So I was always strong, always athletic. My whole family is athletic and sporty. But it wasn't until I was an interior designer for a long time.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
And they made me redundant. It was a national organisation, made me redundant at the same time I was pregnant. So I took maternity leave and redundancy, and I was happy. And then I moved to America.
Going on now, isn't it? So,
yeah. So when that happened, so living in hotels. Here's the thing, okay? I'm 5'10", so I'm blessed with good genes. So people would say you're beautiful, you can get away with it when you gain a few pounds, and then they used to say because you're tall, you can carry it, and you believe that.
Right.
So as an interior designer, it's not glamorous at all. You would, I would drive. Literally around the country once a week. So Rochdale, Norwich, Leicester, Cardiff, massive, once a week, and visit all the sites. And you check into hotels late at night, you'd have a club sandwich in the hotel room because you were a woman, and you didn't want to eat alone in a restaurant because you get hit on and they plonk you in. These were the days, and you get plunked in the middle of the restaurant, and it was just like, I'm tired, I've just driven 5 hours and I've had 7 meetings and dealing with customer complaints and the interior design.
How you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So you drink wine, eat food, and then drive, and then drink wine, eat food, drive. And so I gained a lot of weight, and I was healthy and strong, and then I had quite a traumatic first delivery. Where we nearly lost my Daisy, my firstborn. So that set me off with postnatal depression, and then that sort of trigger that it was my fault. So I took it on board that it was all my fault. So I just went to food and ate my way through my second pregnancy in America. So
you was in America?
Yeah.
Oh, just sneak that in.
Yeah. I was living in the States by this point, living in Nevada.
What pulled you to the States?
This is quite exciting. So youngies don't really get this, but oldies get this. The Top Gun film, right?
Okay, yeah.
My husband was a Top Gun.
Does that mean I'm an oldie?
Yeah. Yeah, Top Gun. My husband was an instructor for Top Gun.
Yeah. I totally see him putting off Tom Cruise.
How cool is
Absolutely.
that? Yeah. So cool. But I met the most amazing bunch of women because this place was in the middle of nowhere, and it's not like the film, but the community is there. It's a really, really solid community. And the women that I met there were transient. So their husbands were all pilots, and every 2 years they'd have to literally pack up their homes and move thousands of miles, East Coast, West Coast, Japan, or wherever. And they were all personal trainers and group fitness instructors. And I was fat. And I'd suffered depression, and I was living overseas. It was a really trying time. The Iraq war was going on. My husband was going off with that. So I love food. So during that time, there was this woman that just was giving me a bit of a hard time. And I don't know. In my head, I thought she was making inroads on my husband. It was the first time I'd kind of she was really
brave woman.
yeah. And it was like I just didn't like I didn't like how she was behaving, and she was trying to extract me and isolate me from my little community that I was in. And I was going to fitness classes. In fact, I hadn't gone to fitness classes at this point. One day I changed Maddie's nappy, and both the girls, they were quite close together in age. So I changed Maddie's nappy, and then I couldn't lift my body weight off the floor. And I was like, I've got to do something, because I saw in that moment, I'll be dead in a year.
Wow. I
just had this huge epiphany, and I can remember it. I can remember the little dress that Daisy was wearing, and like this whole thing was it was bonkers. And I thought, Jesus, I've got to get my...
That's a remarkable trigger, that is, really.
So I did. I hauled my sorry, fat, sweaty ass to this club, and this amazing instructor was in front of me, and I was at the back of the class.
Male or female?
Woman,
Right.
Amy Kelly.
Oh, remember her name?
Yeah, Kathy Saporito, Marshall Elliott. Oh, and they're all still women in my life now because...
Really?
Oh, God, yeah.
And that
They
was
made a
how long ago?
difference. That was like 20 odd years ago.
That's awesome.
And she smiled, and I thought that the people that invited me into the class that day, it was a boxing class, funnily enough, and she said at the end of the class I was just mortified because I literally watched the clock on the wall tick, and thinking I hate this, I hate everything about it, and I was hurting, I couldn't do it, I felt awkward, it was just awful. And then Amy at the end of the class came over and made a point to talk to me, and then I said, "Would you help me?"
Top coach.
And that was it.
That's coaching. That right there, looking at someone who's struggling, recognising it.
And I've never got away from that because I was so truly appreciative of that moment in time.
And I know that you do that for everybody. There's not a person I can speak to that's not been to your classes, and they're like, she just looked after me, you know.
Yeah. Well, I was that girl. I was the sweaty, awkward, untoned, untrained person.
I just can't imagine that with you, because I mean, I've seen you do some ridiculous things in this gym, like silly weights, like
I did the odd deadlift.
I'm sure we'll get to it.
We'll talk about that later. But yeah,
I suppose you've got it on your t-shirt.
That old thing. So I just think that those times, and then basically the club at the time approached me and said, "Look, you're really good. You've actually got talent. You move well. Yeah. If we coach you, will you study?" And so I did my first round of training with the American Council on Exercise, and it's by far way better quality studies than the UK. And I'm a massive fan of the fitness industry in the UK. I'm very protective of the industry, but I had gold standard training to start. So you kind of almost go into a level 3 as a group exercise to music instructor.
I mean, I know, like, you know, a lot of your history is in class instruction because you're just such a high energy person. But like your knowledge of the body, I mean, we'll be talking and she'll be rattling off all these different muscles and bones, and I'm like, it might be that, Trying to hang with her a bit, like.
I am obsessed obsessed. I am a sponge, and I do love the human body.
You've never known anyone get so excited about a poster with muscles on it.
I know. You used to.
I know you're looking for it.
Where is it?
It's over there.
Oh, I
It's
love
over
it, and
there.
I'm constantly like, that bit.
Yeah.
And true to point, I love it.
Yeah.
The anatomy just blows my mind. Yeah.
So we're going to move straight into it. We're
Go on
going to first rather difficult question, maybe. What is the hardest thing that you have ever been through in your life?
Oh, you know this.
I do know this.
I lost a business.
What was that business?
Oh my God, it broke my heart. It was so hard, the whole thing, and I might cry. So, but it has fueled me to do so many different things as a result of it. If I give you a bit of background, a lot of my work was with the health service. And the odd occasional passive aggressive comment about, it's nice to see you dressed like a grown up, not in your PE kit, and you're trying to deliver services and business. So one day, it was a random personal training day. I was sat in a brand new Costa Coffee in Falmouth. It was the first time we'd had anything like that. So this is back in 2007.
That's Falmouth, Cornwall.
Yeah, and it happened, and I was only there because my client had cancelled. So I thought, I'll go check out this new coffee shop. And I sat in the coffee shop and read a local paper. So we have a paper called the Falmouth Packet. And her front page was a ballet studio had foreclosed. And I was like, oh my God, I'm looking for a studio. And because at that time I was teaching classes all around the county, village halls, school halls, and it's hard being a community fitness instructor because you're lugging all your kit. And by the way, my husband's in like Afghanistan and I'm raising 2 kids. And by the way, one of them's diabetic and all of that stuff going on. So
it's never easy for you, is it?
Oh my God. It's just like, but I went into this building and it was the top floor of this fantastic building.
It was a great location.
Oh, it was beautiful. And that's where we first met.
Yeah,
that was back in 2007.
Tried to get a job.
And I said no.
Never got a call back. It's all right, no.
But it was, that's really funny.
Actually, no, your brother trying to get a job, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I don't blame you, he's a nightmare. You dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Actually, that's a real learning for me because I am absolutely a feminist and I've employed men before and it doesn't suit because I'm such a strong natural leader.
Right.
Alphas try and move into that position, it doesn't work. So I've had a few fallings out over the years with that. So
I'm assuming you won all of them.
Well, I was the boss.
Well, they're no longer here. So.
Yeah, but equally, it's finding that balance. I mean, the things I could, the stuff I've learned over the years about
it's hard that the
people management and
the best learning is from mistakes, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah. But sadly, I'm an empath. I'm so sensitive, and I think a lot of creatives in the fitness industry are the same. So we have that gut instinct and that intuition, and so I wear my heart on my sleeve, and that absolutely wrecks me because people take advantage of that.
Yes, they do.
And then it's always been, and I kid you not, I've heard over years, she's beautiful, she doesn't deserve this, beautiful women only get the deals, and who does she think she is? She needs knocking down a peg or two. Not once, multiple times. It was always competition, and it was like, I'd never hurt families. Like, my personal life is personal, but what I really wanted to do was create this community. So we opened up those studios in 2007. And then for the next 7 years, we just grew it year on year. It got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then actually, I think it was 2014, it was Christmas. I'd taken my entire team up to, I think it was Leicester.
How many people was that at that point?
That time there was 14.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
When it closed, there was 22 on the books.
Oh.
That team were stunning. They were beautiful, wonderful people, all of them, and all of them had their little foibles. But to be a fitness instructor,
foibles, not sure I know what that is.
Yeah, they're like that. They all have issues.
Okay,
but
well,
again,
I think everyone that gets in the fitness industry does.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But the thing is, they all want to make a difference.
Yeah.
So, and they're all led by ego, because being up front on the stage, doing exercise in front of a following who worship you, it does build ego.
Yeah,
So,
especially
and we're
for us.
all the kind of, when you understand more around human behaviour, they're all a very similar type. So when they're great, they're amazing, but erratic when they're under stress. And there's often stress in the fitness industry, and a lot of that comes with memberships, injury.
Yeah.
If you're injured, you don't work.
Yeah.
And then the rivalry is a massive thing, which is completely unnecessary.
It's one of the things that I find the hardest in the fitness industry.
man.
I don't play that game. I
No.
try not to anyway.
No, and it's like, we're all swimming in the same ocean, but find your own lane and stop, winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners.
Yeah.
And it's really
Love that.
important. It's so important.
Wow.
But it's a thing, it's like if you stay true to your values, you'll be and be authentic, then you'll succeed in life, and that's important. My business, it didn't. And at Christmas, I had taken a call in the morning. We all drove up that evening, National Fitness Awards, and we won Best Gym Team.
Yeah.
And I was up against some pretty massive organisations, so I can't tell you how amazing that experience. What an honour, and I couldn't have done it without those amazing people. And most of them don't talk to me now.
Right.
So which is kind of really sad and tragic.
Can I ask why?
I think
Or you get into that?
I think we'll come to that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of different reasons. So that day, I also received a phone call to say that my landlord had sold the building to the council, and the council wanted me out.
You didn't have any idea about that?
No. So
Okay.
So there is a lot of other stories, So my husband will describe this time as the perfect storm. So every time we tried to sort of sail out of it, we were dragged back in from another direction. So it was a really tough time, and just to say that this was my business, not Tony. So this has no sort of reflection on him. He's always supported me. So that was a challenge. So then it was like, do I move downstairs? They offered me a couple of scenarios, and I knew it was going to be expensive, but actually we work with so many people with disabilities, physical, mental disabilities, and it's like, if I moved onto the ground floor, I could let people walk in, and we could create this place of safety, and it was amazing, and that was kind of the plan.
So just so I get this right in my head, so you get this award, so you're sky high,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And then I had to carry that because I knew that was going on, and and again, on reflection, there was ego, and then there was heart, and I think it was my ego that was saying keep going, keep going, keep going, and my heart, because their faces that night, and it was them, and often, and we had a conversation off air around not charging clients and not paying yourself, and and that would often happen to us, and it's you're only as good as the customers, and we had big national companies that would employ us to do services, and sometimes the chain of payment was never right. So if you weren't paid by some of the organisations, you can't pay your wages. It's like, it's really crap. So we moved downstairs, and a hotel in local said, we want to buy you. And it was quite exciting, and we were going through it. So, and due diligence is a real complex thing in law if somebody wants to buy your business. So they were buying us as we were moving from now the top 2 floors, moving into the bottom floor, the basement, lots of work. So for about a year, that hotel worked on grooming me, and they were going to take on the business. And literally the 11th hour, literally the day we went in to sign the papers, we paid for all the solicitors' bills. And the day we went in to sign the papers, the hotel went, nah. And by which point they had all our due diligence, they knew our business, they knew everything. So that was kind of one thing. And that was bad enough. And then we didn't get paid. So some of our big contracts didn't pay us. And I went to the bank. So I'm a woman, and so I'm going to pull that feminist card a little bit. But I went to my bank, and we didn't have debt. At that point, we knew we had a lot of bills. What I'm saying is we didn't have like personal stuff going on. And I said to the bank, look, I haven't been paid. The work's done. The invoices are in. You know who the organisation is. They haven't paid us. And they went, don't worry, we'll support you on this. And I said, I just need to just get through the next 6 weeks. Because 6 weeks later, we would have owned all our gym kit. And then we would have started into September. So, which is like, as you know, it's a real busy time for the fitness industry. So I knew we just had like 6 weeks to really sort of hang tight now and really hold the fort. And so bearing in mind I'd already started losing some of my staff because word was going out that I might be selling or merging with another organisation. So there was definitely that vibe going on. And then the next morning the bank shut us down. They closed our business account. Gone.
No phone call?
Oh, multiple from me.
Right.
And then within 24 hours they closed our family account, so I couldn't feed my own family. We couldn't get, so payments are being banked from our standing order members. All like everything, so everything, like we just couldn't, and that's it. That's that loss of faith. So suddenly, when your accounts are being banked, people are like, "What the hell's going on?" We still have building going on. We just, we knew that when that money hit, we'll be able to be okay. Never happened. And then, and that
I can
was
see why
it.
Tony calls it the perfect storm.
Yeah. Oh my God. And
while we're in it,
Yeah, but there was so much more to it, and it was like, oh my God, it just got personal, and then it was just trying to sort of manage the best way we can. So we took advice. We went to an organisation to help us because we're good people.
Yeah.
So I never went bankrupt. That would have been on reflection, the easy thing to do. There's so much shame that comes with this. In the middle of all of this, I went into perimenopause, so I was suffering with severe anxiety and depression.
Do you think there's a relationship there between the two things?
Absolutely. Stress manifests in health and body.
Yeah.
And I just remember those years. It was so stressful moving, stressful trying to sell the business, trying to make sure money was coming in. It was in that time when all organisations, like 2014, it was tough. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, and I did get £800 off Lloyd's Bank to say sorry for their treatment.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And you're like, you what? £800, that's all I get for losing. And it was my reputation, and like, I am so sorry for what happened. We never, it was my life's work.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There it is. Let it go. My broken heart.
I have a question. Lots of people were involved in that.
Yeah.
Lots of different things and
Yeah.
lots of misunderstandings, and
Yeah.
like Tony aptly describes it, the perfect storm. Is there anything you want to say?
Well, I think
Because you haven't had that opportunity, have you?
no, because
fair.
there was a group that called themselves mostofFalmouth.com. That's what they were called. I was doing some work with Reebok and some other organisations. I went up to Manchester to start a project, and a letter had been sent to them. And we found out, we know who these people are, by the way, and worse still, I never had any dealings with them. They never came to my club.
Why is that?
They were business owners in Falmouth, and they made it their mission in life to try and kill me. And they came close to it, because there was a period of time where suicide was the easiest option, and I've got it all planned out how I was going to do it. It was such an awful time. And then this really weird thing happened. The West Britain put an article in the paper around another business that that went bankrupt, and they put up like photographs of their honeymoon on Facebook, and they just completely slated these people. And I opened the paper and went, Jesus, that's going to be me. I bet you that's going to happen. And then weeks later, it started. So it went in the paper, and it was I can't tell you the terror. I couldn't leave my home.
I can't imagine that.
It was so awful, and these people had just campaigned to destroy me. Most hated woman in Falmouth, I would hear, and it's like, but they never asked me. Nobody asked me. And the other, I couldn't have said anything anyway because I was bound by the requirements, the whole plan, that I wasn't allowed to talk to people. I wasn't allowed to say what was going on and how we'd come to an arrangement. Well, what we did, I had to keep working. That was the other thing, because in order to pay back our losses, I had to keep working. So I had to still go, showtime!
Attend to the world.
And it absolutely pissed everyone off because they all thought, she's closed that business, she owes loads of money, what a cow, and I had to keep working and I had to still pay back £2,500 a month. My money, not our our family, but we lost everything. We lost friends. I think that hurts the most because it's like in times of stress, people will leave you. When things go wrong, you lose the people that you always thought would be there for you. And you've got to learn to forgive yourself, because that's really hard, because people will never be in your life forever.
Sorry.
It's so true. But it's so true, because you even now there are, I feel that kind of like, oh my God, I just hate this conversation, and I can't look people in the eye. And then I go, what the hell, Helen? It's like, you're resilient, you've grown, you've learnt, and those people were never supposed to be in my life forever. And I'm all right with that now. But it broke my heart and physically broke me. Yeah. And look at me, what am I like? And then actually, and then the shame, the vulnerability and the shame that comes with people don't, I swear to God, don't go into business to close a business.
If anything is more obvious, yes, yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
So why? And then it was like, who does she think she is? And the few occasions I went out, I was attacked by people.
How do you mean?
Verbal chest poking. What the F are you doing here? And I would have such a hard time. And I remember one occasion, and it was like in front of my daughter, I was verbally attacked. You're trying to fight your corner, and that's all you're ever trying to do is just fight yourself out of a corner.
That is one of them situations, you just want to, I'd imagine you just wanted to just run and hide, but you're there, your daughter's watching, and they're watching what's mum going to do in this situation?
I know.
That's tough, man.
And, my kids, my girls are
amazing.
Absolutely, they're
great
freaking rock stars. And Maddie, I mean, she, both of them were brilliant, but Maddie would spot the panic attacks before I would. And I'd have like certain tics that I would present with, but I couldn't go out. Tony had to do all the shopping. I couldn't go in the supermarket. And even those, I used to feel all this shame that came with me, and I couldn't forgive myself because I never wanted to close a business. It was my life. But actually, I'm 5 years on from it now. I'm still emotional, and as I say...
That's not that much time, really. I mean, sitting with you now, I don't have the words. It's just...
But it was hard. I think it's getting back up, because the inclination, and this is where, ego is not on the radar. You have to be vulnerable at some point in your life. You have to carry shame, and that's okay, but you've got to work through that process. So for me, it was a loss, a huge loss. I broke my heart, and slowly, piece by piece, I've been pulling it back together. I'm really thankful for the few friends that stayed with me, and they know who they are.
So what do you say to them people that didn't come and help?
It's okay. It's like we're done. It's okay. It honestly.
You're amazing.
Honestly, I'm like, and I'm not. You can't bring back time. You can't swim back up the river. It's gone. Yeah. It's about moving forward, and still be authentic. So I always wanted to make a difference. I always wanted to change people's lives for the better. I wanted to support so many people around, body positivity and wellness, work with people with disability. Old people, don't even get me started, because I'm so protective of my oldies. But, and so, nothing's changed. So you can take everything off me. You can take the clothes off my back, but you can't take my skills, and you can't take what's going on in this crazy mind of mine. And that is the thing, that resilience is the thing that's just going to keep making me grow and stand in my own power. And all of that was taken away from me. And to be honest, that health club, you know, on reflection, became an ego. It was, but it wasn't mine. It was not what I wanted.
I was literally about to say the words to you. I'm not sure it was your ego though.
No, and it's like, because it grew, and then it became so it was all around rivalry and competition. But you know what we're really good at? We're good at building communities, and we're good at getting people going, and it was never about keeping people. So people would come to my club because they felt safe. And we were
I've actually heard that from people.
And then from there, they'd get skills, grow. Many went into the fitness industry themselves. And from there, we weren't enough. So they go off and CrossFit and great, you know, it was never about we want everyone. It was about being part of people's journey in a positive way, you know, and they'll reflect one day and go, oh my God, I remember she taught me da 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 da. And remember it as a really fond place, because we tried so hard to try and keep that upper, you know, stiff upper lip whilst we were going through so much trauma with the business. And, you know, we tried to protect the people and move them forward. So, you know, there are more than enough bodies to exercise. There are more than enough personalities that are out there in the fitness industry. You just got to be true to yourself.
I mean, I feel like you really answered the next question, to be fair. And that is, what is a problem that you had to solve or overcome yourself? And I think that you did.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's me. It's my perception of me is different to others' perception of me. And I'm like Marmite, don't get me wrong, I get that. Some people love me, others just can't bear me. And often it's the people that can't bear me have never even met me or don't know me.
People make assumptions about people.
Oh my God, it's
really
hilarious.
Yeah.
And, you know, too often I've heard those stories, but I'm never going to win those people. Haters are going to hate, that's fine. And I'm all right with that. I used to take that personally. Yeah. It's the ones in the middle that kind of like, I'm not so sure, but actually I'm a nice person.
Yeah,
and I'm kind. And I wouldn't, you know, I would hurt a fly. I am a carnivore.
Sorry, flies. It's not, you know.
But I'm not, you know, I wouldn't. I haven't got enough time. That's the other thing. There's just so much time for gossip. Seriously, I haven't got enough time of that in my own life. So, yeah, I'm not interested in rivalry.
I mean, so, you know, the thing that you overcome yourself, I'd imagine, is building yourself back up. Yep. Would you say that?
That was probably the hardest slog. And I mean, you saw me, because I think there were days where I would come in the middle of a panic attack, and that was hideous. It was actually because my body broke. I mean, I physically broke down. My hips, I ended up having major gynae surgery, shoulder, you name it, it went wrong.
Oh, I've learned a lot about the female body from this one.
You've learned a lot about prolapse, menopause.
Yeah, I've learned it all. It does nothing shocks me anymore. All good.
So yeah, I think that was the hardest thing, because it's almost like I fell out of love of fitness.
I think we all go through that. I went through that, you know, because it is a tough industry, and actually what you do is the people you meet puts a face on the industry, and that's not that, you know, that's not who it is it? No. It's what you make it, I think.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
And you, like, I know we resonate on the fact that we love to help people. Yeah. It's kind of what we got in common, you know. Yeah. So some people don't look at the industry like that, you know.
No, I know, and that, I think it's because there's not a massive, there's not like a huge career structure, unless you end up becoming you own a strength shed. You know, there's very little structure. So you go in as a level 2, or you come in through sports science, you do a level 3 personal training, then you go on and specialise, and that's what I did. And then you end up kind of doing your own thing, because there's no kind of real employment. Like, you know, when you go into the NHS, you can keep going and going and going, and
there's no sort of hierarchy or anything to aim for.
And I think there's not enough support in the fitness industry.
I never thought of it like that, actually.
So and that's what I'm doing now. I'm supporting newbies to the industry to have longevity. And actually, if you could, you know, that's a real key piece of advice for any new fitness professional. It's like, for God's sake. Yeah, I mean, look after, for new fitness professionals, for God's sake, look after yourself. Yeah. Because your body is your money.
How many times have you burned out? A few for me.
Oh God.
Yeah, I can go running at 6 in the morning. Yeah, I'll take that 10 o'clock boxing class, no worries.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Massage,
Yeah.
meditation,
Yeah.
eat well. It's because you will, and people buy you because of the way you look. So, I am an overweight fitness instructor. It's hilarious. But my customers are generally on a journey as well. So there's that trust because they're like, well, she's got wobbly bits, but it's achievable. And that works, so.
Yeah, you're great. Yeah. I mean, this question sounds similar to the other ones, but what is the most painful thing you've been through in your life? I mean, it may be the same thing, essentially.
I think, I mean, I've gone through personal things, so...
I wondered whether it was, you mentioned gynecological issues.
That was pretty harrowing, to be fair.
That was pretty...
Yeah, it's kind of losing... so I had big babies and fast deliveries, so, I ruined my vagine, for crying out loud. But do you know what? It's been really interesting, because, I am creative, so from a fitness point of view, I have gone through a lot of physical trauma. My body has been broken, but actually it's really helped me on my own teaching journey and my teaching practice. So
gives you yet more empathy.
Oh my God, particularly around menopause and perimenopause. I've already told you I'm a feminist. I sit as a trustee at the Women's Centre, which used to be the old Rape Crisis Centre. I support women, love women, and they just need a bit more kindness and learn to like themselves a bit more. Women are a nightmare.
I say that too many times a day, unfortunately.
Oh my God. So going through menopause was really quite a useful thing from a business point of view.
Sorry, someone goes through menopause and describes it as useful. Only you.
Well, it's a bit crappy and stuff happened. I was late coming here today because it was a bit warm.
Yeah.
I was having to turn.
No, I said that to Caroline. I said she's overheated. She said, "What, car?" I said, "No, her."
It's a nightmare. But you connect with other women, and I think that the other interesting thing is being honest. So, because like you said, people have these assumptions of me, but actually, if you talk to me, there's a whole bunch of things that we connect with, And
do you think people find you intimidating?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is hilarious.
You're always really well dressed and striking, and
I like I said, I've got good genes. I'm not going to change, and I'm not going to dumb it down for anyone else. I'm curvy, so I feel like sometimes I have to do an extra effort. So because it doesn't show off all my fat bits, it's like one of those things. So it's important that it's all part of your armour. Yeah. I suffer with anxiety, so one of the things I need to do is make myself feel good. So what does that look like? So this morning, now I wake up early, it's meditation, I had 2 showers. I thought I'd put a treatment on my hair, can time it all in.
It's worth it.
There's 28 hours in my working day, it's like, in my head, I'm trying to squeeze it all in. But you've got to allow time for self-care.
I think that's a really lovely message, because I ask you whether you think people find you intimidating, but yet you're admitting to, I am anxious. I do think about these things. Yeah. This is on purpose. So that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So that's a seamless link into the next question. What makes you uniquely you?
Oh, for crying out loud! What makes me uniquely? Oh, well, honestly, you don't want to clone this. This is mine. Seriously.
I always do that when I'm drinking.
Honestly, it's like there's enough for me. Quite frankly, I think it's my dad had a stroke. When my stepdad had a stroke when I was 19. He died last year, so he was paralysed on one side. My mum changed his pants and socks every day for a very, very long time, almost 28 years.
Must have been tough for him.
Tough for him, really hard for my mum.
Yeah, sorry.
So, absolutely. Because my dad wasn't a drinker, he wasn't a smoker, he was a referee when he wasn't a policeman, and it was literally 2 weeks after he retired. And it was, so he was young, in his early 50s when that happened. So
early 50s?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. So it changed my mum's life. It changed all our lives because my mum stopped being my mum. My mum cared relentlessly for my dad, and that sounds callous, but if you're a carer, that people will understand what I'm saying. So caring for somebody with a chronic health condition like that is hard, and
it's someone you really love.
Yeah, you know? Absolutely, because you go through all that pain, and it wasn't just a stroke. He ended up having hip replacements, prostate cancer. He had bowel damage as a result of the radiation, and one side's not operating. So the fact that he lived as long as he did was amazing. So we lived our lives waiting for the shoe to fall off, waiting for that call that Dad's died, and it went on for 28 years, I think. So you asked me about my uniqueness. I get it. Yeah. I get carers. I get pain. I get relationships in people. I get when you don't prioritise yourself, I see what happens.
That must be a gift and a curse, because in one hand you've got an overview of everything, but on the other hand you've got an overview of everything.
Yeah. And I think it's I like you, that ability to let people open up and share. So I'm going to go to the grave with some really big, heavy, dark secrets from a lot of my customers over the years.
Oh yeah.
But and I think that there will always be time if people are upset, and you can tell it with a tone of voice. Pick up the phone. It's like I am, believe it or not, an easy person to talk with.
And you're the most trustworthy person. I know if I tell you something, it's like talking to myself.
Yeah. It's not my business.
Unless you've got a camera on.
But it's not my business. So and I think it's like there's enough going on. There's so much crap in the world right now. It's like we just got to look after each other and be as kind to each other as possible. But
What's the one thing that people always ask you for help with?
Oh crap, that changes all the time. Probably anxiety.
Really?
Which is hilarious because that's not fitness.
But don't you love them people? But it's like the and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I mean it's like the young fitness trainer that trains the ladies just had a child. And he's like, oh, you'll be all right. It's like, what do you know about that yet? You don't. That unlocked it for me. I was that guy, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I remember, when I had a child, I was like, oh, I see. You didn't get any sleep last night. You're not just saying it. You didn't get. And I mean.
I don't know. What do I think it's that. I mean, I think hope.
Yeah.
So they're not tangible things that people ask for.
Yeah.
I always say start a conversation with me and then we'll build a picture.
Yeah.
Because we don't know. Because often, and I mean, I know you've had it. You'll get the call and it's like, my husband's wanting vouchers for personal training, and you're like, you're not interested.
Yeah.
I can tell you're not interested. Yeah. That's not human behaviour. You're not gonna commit, and then you're gonna say it's my fault. So come back to me when you're ready.
Yeah.
And then the next call will be, where'd you get your leggings from? I really like those.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, they're getting interested.
Yeah.
And then the next one will be, well, I downloaded an app, the 5K, and I'm like, do you like running? I hate running. Okay, let's have a cup of tea. You did it to me. You dragged me in for a cup of tea, for crying out loud. Yeah. And I was like,
nice cup of tea.
And now suddenly I'm bloody training with you, which I love, by the way. So.
Thanks. No, well, I love it too. I mean, gosh, I sometimes wonder if I should pay you at times.
It's really transactional, isn't it? We have a nice experience when we're working.
Meeting your family has had a huge impact on my life because not that I'm playing favourites or anything like that, but dealing with Maddie and some of the things that she struggles with was really insightful for me. And I was really quite honoured to have experienced it all because, as you say, you'll never forget. The first time we had a bit of a situation, I was like, oh, okay. And you were just watching me the whole time. Like, this is...
So we're not... So she's 16, 15?
15.
Yeah. And she's on the ergo and she's rowing like hell. She's type 1, so her sugars are erratic. She hated it. And she was crying, and she's got a mother's determination, so she's, God bless her. So she was crying and rowing. And I'm like, she's going to kill me.
But she wasn't going to stop.
No.
I've never seen anything like it. She clearly was struggling, suffering, wanted to stop. But I'm saying, Mad, maybe you should stop. No! And I'm like, what's going on? This is insane. I've never seen anything like this. And I didn't know what to do. I was looking at the ceiling. I was like, oh. And you were just watching me going, yep.
The challenge, But you know what? She remembers that story, and it's the thing that she digs deep into.
I've seen her do some incredible things.
Yeah, she
having
lifts over
15-year-olds
100,
lift over 100 kilos in a squat.
And she kicks the bar. That's my favourite thing.
Yeah.
You said to go into a gym and just to kick a bar, and she
Just
does that
the
now.
bars out, I love the story she told me that time where she said she was in a gym and she walked over and a guy was on the bench press and she was like, he said to her, "Do you want me to take some of them weights off?" She's like, "No, I'll warm up on that." I was like, "Get it." That was great. I love that.
She is cool.
So another question. What are some of the greatest lessons you've learned in your life? I mean, that's a great question for you.
Greatest lessons. I think I've touched on it twice. Ego is that thing that you need to park. I had a great experience. I was on Surprise Surprise.
Yeah, I remember.
It was a good thing, but it was an awful thing because it was that 15 seconds of celebrity, and after you film it, you get sent into a room and you meet with a psychologist. And
Really?
they say, "Are we going to air this? Are you going to cope with this?" Because sometimes there's a backlash. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm strong. It's fine."
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And you have to sign your life away, so you can't say anything for until it's aired.
You got signed to me, by the way.
Okay. They a lot of people didn't like it. So I've learned. I think the biggest thing of life lesson. I think it is you've got to be true to yourself. Don't ever try and be something you're not, and just always tune in to you, listen to you. That's the biggest thing. Is don't be guided by because I'm distracted by shiny sparkly things all the time, and I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting. I'll do that. Oh, I'll do that." But actually, swim in your own goddamn lane. Do your stuff. Learn, keep learning, and stay in that lane, and just grow and get better, inch wide, mile deep. Awesomeness. That's what we should have.
Nice. Nice. Like that. What advice would you give to you of 10 years ago?
Oh God. Don't eat the cake.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Time. Give yourself time.
Don't eat the cake.
True.
Love
My
it.
God, if I could just and the photos you take of you now when you think you're fat. In 10 years' time, you'll wish that you look like that.
Brilliant.
Laugh, be happy. It all comes back down to those really those essences of you. Don't lose yourself. You've got to be.
You're going to try to take it from me, but you still got it.
No.
Last question, and that's about. I think around what you're doing at the moment, really. What's next? So honesty is the best policy. Camera overheated again. Whoops. Amateur hour at the Strength Shed. I asked you what was next.
What's next? Okay, so I run a business called iMove. We focus on the ageing population. Now, that's not just old. So this is a lifespan, and when you start in the fitness industry, you often start as a youngie and you work with young fit people, and then like cars, they become broken. So I tend to focus on 45 and above, and I do a huge amount of work with frail and elderly, the end of lifespan, which is just awesome.
You do a lot of work with fall prevention.
Fall prevention is massive. It's a huge cost to the economy. We take somebody who maybe walks with a stick or fear of falling or has fallen, and we take them through a program. Oh God,
Imagine.
yeah, and lockdown, post COVID, we're already seeing increased levels of frailty, mental health, and social isolation.
Yeah, because families not visiting them.
No, they can't. And there's the rules, so they're now fearful. So we're saying, you can go out a little bit now, and can't go out. But because they haven't been nipping to the shop and haven't been going out and about, huge reduction in physical movement. So that's a bit of a worry. So a lot of work for us. We're really excited because a lot of our work is now digital and online.
Which is academy? What's that?
Oh, well. So basically, I live by the daily mantra: work hard, play hard, give something back. So iCare and Move has grown in strength and strength. we deliver lots of services, and now actually what we want to do is teach other instructors to do what we do.
Spot on.
So
Great.
iCare, iMove have formed a coaching academy. We've got 2 particular programs, so we're trying to go. So I'm a Group X girl. I love group stuff. So I actually deliver a program now called Pilability. It sits really well with the 45 to 65-year-old market. It's more around mobilising joints first, and functional movement. And there's some specific elements to the program which is around getting to the floor and off the floor. Now that seems weird when you're 45, but actually this is working preventatively, because very quickly, and you don't even know when it happens, but suddenly you're like, oh, fear, I'm afraid to climb down the rocks. So actually what we do with Pilability is create movement and confidence in movement. And so that's a really exciting program. We're teaching that to group exercise instructors. And then we also teach... we've just launched. So,
of course,
and it's we've got a huge amount of demand for it. So, and again, it's all about giving back. It's like the lessons I've learned. If I was a new instructor, I would, because I am a tutor in the industry, and I would often say, you just got to build your toolbox. So do the training, practice, do as many different courses, have this biggest array of knowledge, because not one size fits all. Not one client will ever be the same. Right. Not one breast cancer client will ever be the same. Not one bodybuilder will ever be the same. They're all very, very different people. So build your toolbox and take it forward. So that's what iCare, iMove does. We support others. So I believe in this thing called shine theory. So I can't shine unless I support you to shine. And it's really sort of sending the light on others, and I know you're the same. I start all my training programs talking about shine theory, and it's working authentically, working together. It's not actually climbing over each other and backstabbing. It doesn't work. It's about kindness and
you're
honesty.
teaching that from day dot.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's great.
So I'm really excited about it. I'm delivering massive programs for the Isles of Scilly. So again, a lot of our work's digital now. So
I remember you sacking me off for that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I love getting stuck in the Isles of Scilly. It's great over there. But they've got one of the second fastest growing ageing population in the world. And we're not set up for it. So, we're working on, it's not now, it's like, what's your 20 years from now, what's that person going to look like? Yeah. What are you going to look like in 20 years' time? What's going to happen? You're going to have no hair. And you're going to have little legs.
Oh! There's a reason why I'm low, you see.
But so
I thought we'd get through this about half joke. I really did. What was I thinking?
I care about just taking people forward during their life journey so they thrive as they age. So they age greatly, and that's really what iCare and Move does now. And getting 93-year-olds on Zoom is probably the most fun I've ever had. It's hilarious.
Brilliant. Love that.
So you get lots of foreheads and then occasionally an arm sticking up, but it's wonderful. So I'm agile, so I'll roll with it. So I have contractors in all different fields. So I do a lot of public speaking around vulnerability and anxiety, menopause, more of that, more of me, more empowerment, more body positivity, more time for me and my family, just more. And come and join me, I don't care, we'll just roll with it, see what it's going to look like.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. That's amazing. Do you want to tell them the website for that iCare and Move?
Yeah, iCareandMove.com. It's that easy. And like I said, just have a pick up the phone. Have a conversation, Insta. So, Helen Tite, iCare and Move, and the Coaching Academy. It's all up on social. I'm constantly on social. But messaging, I'm sending out messages around wellness and well-being and just being the best version of you, whatever that looks like.
Thank you so much for your time. I shake your hand, but it's frowned upon. Yeah, good, nice. Good. Didn't touch you, that's good. Nice. Thank you for your time. You're amazing, and I'm grateful to have you on it.
And you're amazing too.
Thanks.
Oh, I love you, Johnny.
Thanks for watching. So that was another episode of the Strength Shed Sessions. I want to thank Helen Tite for her time today. Loved that interview. It was so much fun. It never ceases to amaze me. I've known Helen for a while now, and every time I get together with her, I always find out something new about her. It's quite amazing. She's lived a great life. I loved her advice on staying true to yourself and looking inside to find your own truths and to forge your own path, and to never forge your path based off someone else's actions, decisions, or commands or orders. Great advice. Really inspiring lady. And I want to say thank you. So thank you, Helen. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Strength Shed Sessions.